Hello Army, welcome back to my channel. I need you to stop for a second. I need you to actually stop whatever you are doing and let what I am about to say fully land, because I have been covering BTS news on this channel for a long time now, and this is one of those moments where the news is so big that it takes a moment to fully process. Today, May 14, 2026, FIFA officially announced the lineup for the first ever halftime show in the history of the FIFA World Cup final. And the lineup is Madonna, Shakira, and BTS. On July 19 at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey, in front of a live audience of tens of thousands and a global broadcast audience that is expected to reach 5 billion people, Jimin and the rest of BTS will stand on the most watched stage in the history of human entertainment. And the person who chose them, the person who looked at every artist in the entire world and decided that BTS belongs on that stage alongside two of the most iconic performers of the last 4 decades, is Coldplay's Chris Martin. Today we are going to talk about why. We are going to talk about what this moment means, what it represents, and why of all the things BTS has accomplished across their extraordinary career, this one feels different. This one feels like something that will echo for a very long time. But before we get into all of it, if you are new here, welcome. This channel is your home for everything BTS, everything ARMY, and every moment that proves why following these 7 men is one of the best decisions you can make. Subscribe, hit that notification bell right now because news is moving fast today and you do not want to miss a single update. And let us talk about July 19, 2026 and what is about to happen. So let us start with the announcement itself, because the way this news was delivered is actually part of the story and it deserves to be talked about properly. Coldplay's Chris Martin, accompanied by Elmo from Sesame Street, Miss Piggy, Kermit the Frog, and Animal from the Muppets, made the announcement in a video posted across social media platforms on Wednesday night. And in that video, Martin highlighted the core theme of the halftime show, saying that this show is more about we than me, meaning it is about togetherness. And then, in a moment that the internet immediately lost its mind over, Elmo backed Madonna, Cookie Monster between bites of a cookie suggested BTS, and Animal made his feelings clear by saying he wants Shakira. Cookie Monster chose BTS. I just need to say that out loud one more time. Cookie Monster, one of the most beloved characters in the history of children's television, put BTS on the FIFA World Cup final halftime show lineup. And while that is objectively the most delightful way any major musical announcement has ever been delivered, what it also tells us is something real about the vision behind the show. Because this is not a corporate announcement delivered through a press release. This is a deliberate, playful, warm piece of communication that says something specific about the tone and the spirit and the purpose of what Chris Martin is building here. This is an announcement that says the show is for everyone. It is for children and for adults. It is for football fans and for music fans. It is for people in New Jersey and for people watching on a phone screen in Indonesia or Brazil or Korea or anywhere else in the world. And that vision, that genuinely universal reach, is exactly why BTS and Jimin are on that stage. Let me explain what I mean by that. Because the question of why Chris Martin chose BTS specifically, out of every artist in the world who could have been on this stage, is one that deserves a real answer. And the answer is not simply because BTS is popular, although they are. It is not simply because they are on a world tour right now, although they are, and the momentum of the Ararang tour is obviously a factor. The answer goes deeper than that, and it connects directly to what Chris Martin said about the theme of this show. Togetherness. We over me. A show for the whole world. BTS recorded the single My Universe with Coldplay in 2021, a collaboration that connected two of the most globally beloved acts in contemporary music and that demonstrated a genuine artistic and personal connection between the two groups. Chris Martin knows BTS. He has worked with BTS. He has stood in the same studio and created music with BTS. And from that direct personal experience, he understands something about what BTS brings to a stage and to a global audience that goes beyond what any chart position or streaming number or industry award can fully communicate. He understands the specific quality of their connection with audiences. The way they make people who have never met each other feel like part of the same community. The way their music and their presence creates a sense of shared experience across language barriers and cultural differences and geographical distances. That is exactly what the theme of togetherness requires. And Chris Martin knew exactly who to call. FIFA teased the announcement with the words "the world's biggest stage," an even bigger purpose, and that framing matters because the halftime show is not just a performance. The show is being produced by the non-profit Global Citizen and will benefit the FIFA Global Citizen Education Fund, a landmark initiative working to raise $100 million to expand access to quality education and football for children around the world, with $1 from every ticket sold to World Cup matches being donated to the fund throughout the tournament. So when Chris Martin says this show is more about we than me, he is not just talking about the aesthetic vision. He is talking about a performance that exists in service of something genuinely larger than the performance itself. A performance that will raise money to give children around the world access to education and to the game that has united more human beings across more cultural boundaries than almost anything else in history. And BTS, whose entire career has been built on a foundation of genuine care for their audience and for the world, whose messages of self-love and resilience and connection have meant something real to millions of people in exactly the communities that the FIFA Global Citizen Education Fund is trying to reach, is exactly the right act to carry that purpose on that stage. Now let us talk about the specific significance of this moment in the context of BTS and Jimin's journey, because I think the full weight of it only becomes clear when you understand the history that brought them here. This marks BTS's second major FIFA World Cup moment, following Jungkook's unforgettable performance of Dreamers at the 2022 Qatar World Cup opening ceremony. And for ARMY who remember that night in Qatar, who watched Jungkook walk out onto that stage in Doha and perform to the entire world, who felt the specific emotion of seeing a member of BTS on the World Cup stage for the first time, this moment carries all of that history with it and then expands it into something even larger. Because in 2022 it was one member. A solo performance. A single voice representing BTS on the world's biggest football stage. In 2026 it is all seven. Together. The complete group. On the final. The biggest game. The most watched event. And it is not the opening ceremony. It is the halftime show of the final itself, an event so significant that FIFA President Gianni Infantino himself described it as a historic moment for the FIFA World Cup and a show befitting the biggest sporting event in the world. Many armies are already calling this a full-circle moment, from Jungkook's legendary Dreamers stage in Qatar to BTS returning for the FIFA World Cup 2026 final halftime show. And I think that framing is exactly right. Because the Qatar moment was BTS knocking on the door of the world's biggest stage. This is BTS being given the keys. This is FIFA and Global Citizen and Chris Martin collectively saying that when you are building the first ever halftime show for the World Cup final, when you are designing a performance that will be seen by more human beings simultaneously than almost any other entertainment event in the history of the medium, BTS belongs in the center of it. Think about what that means for a group that debuted in 2013 from a small Korean label, that spent their early years being dismissed and underestimated and told that there were limits to how far Korean music could travel, that built their global following not through the traditional machinery of Western music industry support but through genuine connection with fans who found something real and sustaining in their music and their message. Every obstacle that was ever placed in front of BTS, every moment when the world's entertainment establishment suggested there was a ceiling above which they could not rise, has been answered. The UN General Assembly was an answer. The Grammy nominations were an answer. The sold-out stadium tours across 6 continents were an answer. The #1 albums and singles in every Western market were an answer. And now, the FIFA World Cup final halftime show alongside Madonna and Shakira, curated by Chris Martin, is the answer that all of those answers were building toward. And for Jimin specifically, this announcement arrives at a moment when his presence in the global cultural conversation is more intense and more visible than it has perhaps ever been. The Tampa concerts just happened. The trending charts just exploded with his name across 9 simultaneous hashtags. The Debeam poll just confirmed him as the most beautiful face in the world with 1.5 million votes. The fortune teller's reading of his energy just went viral across every platform. And now, standing in the middle of all of that attention and all of that recognition, comes this. The FIFA World Cup final halftime show. The world's biggest stage. July 19th, ParkJimin will be on it. The show is expected to clock in at approximately 11 minutes. 11 minutes. The entire performance, the thing that 5 billion people are going to be watching, is 11 minutes long. And what that means is that every second of those 11 minutes has to count completely. There is no room for anything that does not land with absolute precision and absolute impact. Every song choice, every staging decision, every moment of interaction between the three headlining acts has to be exactly right. And knowing what we know about Jimin, about his approach to performance and his standard of excellence and his absolute refusal to give anything less than everything he has, knowing what we know about how he showed up in Tampa just weeks ago and what he created there is nobody in the world you would rather have in those 11 minutes. He has been preparing for a stage exactly this big his entire life. And on July 19th in New Jersey, he is going to walk out onto it and show 5 billion people exactly what ParkJimin is. Chris Martin said this show is more about we than me. It is about togetherness. And that word, togetherness, is one that ARMY understands better than almost any other fandom in the world, because togetherness is what BTS has been building with us since 2013. The sense that we are all in this together, that the music and the connection and the community mean something real, that across every difference of language and culture and geography and background there is something that makes us all the same. That is what BTS brings to a stage. That is what Jimin embodies when he stands under those lights. And on July 19th, with the whole world watching, that is what they are going to bring to the biggest stage any of us will ever see. Mark your calendars. Tell your friends. Whether they are ARMY or football fans or both or neither, tell them to watch the FIFA World Cup final halftime show on July 19th, tell them to watch Jimin. Because what is about to happen on that stage in New Jersey is going to be something that people talk about for a very long time. And we are going to be right here to cover every single moment of it. If this video gave you all the feelings you needed today, and honestly how could it not, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, because we are going to be covering every update about the FIFA halftime show as it comes, every rehearsal hint, every set list rumor, every piece of content that builds toward July 19th. Drop a comment and tell me how you reacted when you first saw this news. Were you screaming? Were you crying? Were you doing both at the same time? Because I was doing both at the same time, and I am not ashamed of it at all. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one, and as always, purple you.